Rain tapped gently on the motel rooftop like a lullaby for the lonely. The Blue Pines Motel sat half asleep on the outskirts of town, lit only by a flickering neon sign and the dim glow of the front desk's old lamp. Inside, a young woman named Jenna Carter pushed a mop across the tiled floor, humming faintly to the silence. She wasn't supposed to be working this late. She was a cleaner, not the night receptionist, but the real one had called in sick, and the manager had begged. Jenna needed the extra hours. Her rent was overdue. Her little brother, Luke, needed new asthma medicine. And her dreams, whatever was left of them, needed oxygen. At 3:06 a.m., just as she reached for the bucket to rinse her mop, she heard it. A knock. Faint. Hesitant. Then a cough. Rough. Wet. Strangled. She turned toward the glass door, where the night wind howled. No one. Then, another knock. This time, it came from down the hall. Room 12. She paused. That room had checked in earlier, an older man, traveling alone. He looked tired when he arrived. Worn out, but polite. Didn't give a name, just signed in with initials. M.H. Jenna hesitated, her fingers tightening around the mop handle. She wasn't allowed to disturb guests at night unless it was an emergency. But something, some feeling, dragged her forward. Maybe it was her training in caregiving from the one semester of nursing school she'd had to drop out of. Maybe it was her heart. She knocked gently. Sir, is everything okay? No answer. She tried again. Then suddenly, the door creaked open. Just an inch. Enough for her to see him, collapsed near the bed, his hand trembling against his chest, eyes rolled back. Without thinking, she burst into the room. Sir. She knelt beside him, checking his pulse. Weak. His skin was pale, clammy. I'm calling 911, she whispered, pulling out her phone. His hand reached up and gripped hers. No hospital. His voice was hoarse, barely audible. But you need help, she protested. You might be having a heart attack. He shook his head weakly. Just, please, help me breathe. Against everything she was told, she didn't call. Instead, she ran to the break room, grabbed the motel's emergency oxygen tank, used once for a guest who had COPD, and hurried back. She adjusted the mask over his nose. His breathing steadied, not completely, but enough. Thank you, he whispered. And then, he passed out. Jenna stayed with him for hours. She sat by the bed, checking his pulse, adjusting the mask, wiping the sweat off his forehead. She didn't sleep, didn't care that her shift was over. At sunrise, he stirred. Good morning, she said softly. His eyes opened slowly. You stayed, she smiled. You scared me. He looked at her for a long time. Not like someone annoyed or confused, but like someone who hadn't been seen in years. Most people wouldn't have. Well, I'm not most people, Jenna shrugged. There was a pause, and then he said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you worry. I just didn't want attention. She tilted her head. Because of who you are. He nodded. A pause. Then, a single sentence that would change her life. I'm not just a sick man in a motel. I'm Michael Harrison. She blinked. The name echoed in her memory. Why did it sound so familiar? I'm sorry. Should I know? He gave a tired smile. That's the point. You shouldn't. But you will. Michael Harrison. The name sat on Jenna's tongue like a riddle. It sounded like someone important, someone from a newspaper or magazine, not someone lying half-conscious in a dusty motel room. But the moment he said it, something in the air changed. Jenna felt it. A subtle shift, like the beginning of a storm. Michael sat up slowly, pulling the oxygen mask from his face. He winced, one hand still on his chest. You should still see a doctor, she urged gently, reaching for the phone again. No hospitals. Please, he whispered. They'll find me. He nodded faintly. I wasn't just escaping pain. I was escaping attention. Jenna didn't know whether to call 911 or just listen. He turned toward her, eyes soft but heavy with something unsaid. You really don't know who I am. I might have heard the name. Should I? Michael gave a small, almost apologetic smile. 4 years ago, I was on the cover of Forbes. One of the fastest tech CEOs in the country. The next Steve Jobs, they said. The next revolution. Jenna blinked. She remembered now. A face. A name in headlines. Michael Harrison, founder of Myron Technologies, who disappeared after a major scandal. But you vanished, she whispered. They said you ran off, after the company imploded, after the board turned on me, after they accused me of embezzlement and fraud, he said quietly. But it was never proven. I wasn't guilty. She sat on the edge of the bed, stunned. I lost everything overnight. Investors, partners, friends. Even my fiancé left. I became public enemy number one. And I didn't fight it. I was tired, burnt out. I let the world believe what it wanted. He coughed again, weaker this time. And now? She asked softly. I'm dying, he said. The words sliced through the silence. I have a condition. Congenital heart defect. I knew about it years ago but ignored it. Too busy chasing success. Doctors say I might have a few months. Weeks maybe. I wanted to spend what's left, alone. Quietly. Without cameras. Without pity. Jenna didn't speak for a long moment. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small bottle of water and a chocolate bar, her emergency stash for long shifts. She handed it to him. Eat something. You need energy. Michael smiled at her kindness. He took a bite. You should tell someone, she said eventually. If you're innocent, if you're dying, what good would that do now? She looked at him, eyes wide. You helped build one of the biggest tech companies in the country. People looked up to you. Maybe some still do. Maybe they need to hear your truth. He gave a tired laugh. People don't want truth. They want drama. Not always, Jenna said, her voice firm now. Sometimes, people just want to know someone got back up. For a long time, Michael didn't answer. He looked out the window. The rain had stopped. Morning light filtered through the clouds like hope bleeding into a gray world. Why did you help me? He asked suddenly. Why did you stay? She shrugged, then smiled. I guess I just saw someone who needed help. And I know what it feels like to not be seen. Michael tilted his head. What's your story, Jenna? She hesitated. No one really asked her that. I used to study nursing, she said finally. Dropped out to take care of my little brother when our mom died. Dad ran off years ago. Now it's just the two of us. I clean rooms by day, fill in at the front desk by night. We're behind on rent, and I'm trying not to drown. Michael listened intently. Does he know how lucky he is? He said softly. Luke, he's just a kid. He misses mom. Michael's gaze dropped to the floor. I miss someone too. They sat in silence for a while, two strangers connected by their broken pieces. Later that day, Jenna offered him her old flip phone to contact anyone. He refused. But that night, when the sky turned purple and the motel grew quiet, Michael came to the front desk with a small notebook in hand. What's that? She asked. My will. My confession. My story. Her heart skipped. I want you to have it. I want the world to know. But only when I'm gone. Michael. He reached out, covering her hand. You gave me something no one else did. Compassion. Without questions. Without cameras. That means more than you'll ever know. 2 weeks later, he passed away in his sleep. Quietly. Peacefully. In the same room. Jenna cried like she had lost family. She notified the authorities anonymously, respecting his wishes. But before the body was removed, she held onto that notebook. A week later, she made a decision. She posted the contents of the notebook online, along with her own story of how she met him. The post went viral. Millions shared it. Journalists investigated. Whistleblowers came forward. Evidence resurfaced. And slowly, the world began to see Michael Harrison differently. The public apologized. The board members who betrayed him were exposed. Jenna was invited to speak on national television, not just about Michael, but about how small acts of kindness can echo far beyond what we see. She got full scholarship offers, sponsors, interviews. Luke watched it all from the living room, his big sister now a voice for hope across the country. And in the end, the motel cleaner, who helped a sick guest at 3 a.m. became something else entirely. It had been 3 months since Jenna Carter posted Michael Harrison's final letter online. 3 months since her tiny world at the Blue Pines Motel was cracked open by millions of curious eyes, hearts, and headlines. And yet, somehow, despite the attention, the praise, and the unexpected spotlight, she still woke up in the same room, brushed the same dusty mirror, and tied her apron around her waist to clean the same rooms. But everything was different. Jenna had become the motel girl who told the truth. News shows called her brave. Podcasts praised her heart. Donations for her and Luke flooded in. Strangers called her a hero. Universities offered her full scholarships to return to nursing school. Even Myron Technologies, reborn under new management, offered her a job in communications. But what no one knew was that Jenna had said no to all of it. Why? Because her brother Luke was sick. Really sick. And she didn't want to leave him behind. The asthma had turned into something worse, a rare lung condition that required intense treatment. Jenna spent every free minute at the hospital. The doctors were hopeful, but the bills were growing again, and even with the donations, it wasn't enough. The attention had faded. The world had moved on. But she hadn't. One rainy night, eerily,